Hey, I'm Evan Stevens and this is Evan Stevens Ceramics. I don't have a specific workday going on in the studio today. I just thought I would turn on the camera, do some stuff, and take you along. So welcome to Evan Stevens Ceramics, and let's get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I always start the day after getting ready in the house before coming to the studio, which is attached to my lovely home. I'm gonna write out kind of my goals and expectations for the day and see where that takes me. Like I said, I don't have anything in particular to do today. My main work days in the studio are Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so today, I get to have a little more freedom with what I'm doing. So that's nice. So let's see. Some of the things I want to do today include making some mugs. I also want to make some trays. I'm gonna make this out of a black clay instead of a white clay. I think that will be really nice. And we'll go from there. So yeah. All right, so this is a little tray that I purchased from a store. And I'm gonna use it like a slump mold and press the clay into it to kind of get a tray of my own. And since this is fired ceramic, glazed, I'm worried the clay is gonna stick to it, because it probably will. So I cut a little piece of plastic that I'm gonna just lay in there. This might cause some cleanup with the folds of the plastic, but I kinda don't care. I'll take care of it, they're small enough. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is I've rolled these on a slab roller, so they have this like canvasy texture. So I'm going to smooth out all of that canvas texture on these slabs, get them nice and compressed. Just clean them up. I like to smooth in at least 2 to 3 directions. I just think that's really nice and kind of helps compress the clay a little bit. Hopefully avoid some cracking. With these slabs, you want to be careful. I've done a lot with slabs in my time working with clay, more than I thought I would. And the biggest advice I have for slab work is like, if you don't have to touch it, don't touch it. An artist I worked with, Forrest Middleton, shout out, talks a lot about clay has memory, right? So you wanna leave good memory in your clay as much as you can versus bad memory. So every move you make kind of counts if you're avoiding warping. I'm just gonna smooth out the other side once again in both directions. Now, I don't know, one thing I learned about is the wise old potter concept. You know, there are some things we do in ceramics, not because we need to do them in ceramics, but it's because it worked for one person, and that one person taught their student, and that one person taught their student, and that one person taught their student. So the wise old potter says, right? So there are some things that I'm like, do we really need to do that? I know, like, you can technically leave canvas texture on your slabs, right? But I think part of it is a stylistic thing. And also it's nice to compress stuff in case the particles are kind of wonky. But once again, like this whole idea that you're not gonna get cracking, I feel like usually has to do more with the way you dry stuff. But I do think compressing helps some. Like, I don't get a lot of cracking in my work usually. Watch this be the time, but who knows? Okay, so I've got these smoothed. So now I'm going to take our tray. I'm gonna rough cut out with my knife. Just enough to cover the surface. So it looks like I'm gonna get 4 of these trays at least, maybe 5, probably 4. Let's see if we can get a 5th one. Let's see. I think it's gonna be 4. So yeah, we're gonna get 4 trays out of this. I've said that a billion times. Probably could have gotten a 5th tray had I been smarter about my use of clay, but that's okay, it's fine. We'll just have little extra pieces of clay because we can always recycle that later, right? That's the beauty of ceramics, is getting to recycle everything and reuse it and not let it go to waste. So we have our slabs, and now I'm going to slump them. So I'm gonna move this, and we're gonna get this. This is just a piece of drywall. It's nice enough to work on. I like it because it's easy to cut and, you know, cheap and available. Cheap and available, hey. No, I'm not cheap nor available, actually. Anyways, but I like drywall because effectively it sucks moisture out of the clay and then keeps things from sticking to it. I'm trying to see how much of this plastic I actually really need. We'll do, I guess less is more. Okay, take one of these. We're gonna put it on top, and we're just gonna turn and press. So as we turn and press, I usually try to get the middle down first, kind of squeeze out the air as you go. These don't have to be perfect, and they shouldn't be perfect. It's a handmade ceramic item. Like, I think perfection is a nice ability and a nice goal and a nice studio practice, but at the same time, like, kind of defeats the purpose of like handmade functional items. Because like, part of me wants to see the artist in the work, right? So what I think is cool is I could, you know, do something altered with this edge if I wanted to. I could leave the edge so it's like this kind of deflated half ravioli. Or I can clean the edge up and make it really nice and precise, right? So, the world is your oyster. This is one of my favorite tools. It's like a string. I think it's called a bow or a harp or a bow harp or a cutting tool. I don't know. But I'm obsessed with it. And I wonder if this will work on here because of the blast. But yeah, you can just like go in, press to the mold, and cut. I'll try to show that again. Into the mold, press, and it cuts. Which I really like. So here, yep. So I'm gonna start from the middle, so hopefully we get kind of those corners. This is probably the most boring yet chaotic pottery video you've ever seen. Let's see. Doop. Doop. Okay, so when you use this, try to get the angle the same. Consider your rims, right? Like, depending on how this object is used, you want to be really considerate about the information you're giving to the pot, right? So like, my dog is sighing. He's over it. I just think it's really important to make Listen, okay, listen. Clay is a very finite material, and we use it in a way, most of the process, that is very recyclable, but also like we need to be very cognizant about what we're using and why we're using it, because it is finite, and there is a point where there will be no more material to work with, and materials for ceramics come and go all the time. So one thing my advisor from college said is, you know, it's about making smart pots. And I thought I knew what that meant. And I was so proud of myself because I came up to her and I was like, I finally figured out what you mean by like, it's about making smart pots. And she's like, well, I don't know if it's about making smart pots or if it's about making thoughtful pots. And that has really continued to stick with me. The idea of like, we should be making thoughtful objects because once they're through the kiln, they're here. They're here forever. Unless you want to like grind them up and use them as grog and clay, like your object is gonna outlive you. And so like, what does it say about, you know, us as a society and a culture when we know and have known that clay becomes so freaking permanent, and then we just choose to like not care and just make a bunch of like garbage, you know? Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's good. Like in some ways, I think it's good not to be a perfectionist, but in ceramics, you also kind of want to be a little bit of a perfectionist. Just because what material we're using isn't gonna be here forever. It'll probably be here longer than we're here, but like, you know what I mean. We're gonna let this set up because, yeah. Okay, so I took a nap. So it's been about 2.5 hours. And now I'm gonna see if the trays that I made can be flipped out of their molds. The answer is yes. So what's so nice is I can just boop with the plastic. Right here. Boop. Right, okay. Flip and peel. Yeah. Flip and peel. So there is some plastic marks in the clay, but it's still soft enough that I should be able to just smooth those in with my thumb or a brush or a rib. The world is your oyster, so you do it, mama. And then yeah, so then we got little trays. Little trays. Yeah. So I've made 2 of those. I had 4 slabs. I'm going to make 2 more and then finish these as those are drying. And then that will be a day, essentially. A few hours of work for 4 of these. I could have not taken the nap and worked on other things, but my body told me to sleep, so I slept. Yeah, listen to your body, folks. I'm gonna do this in real time. These are super quick. Put my tray down, take my plastic. I'm gonna use the clean side of the plastic so I don't have to worry about that. Plastic. This side. Okay. Press. Press till you touch the bottom with the middle. Does that make sense? And then start the sides. Now these slabs, we'll see how they look on the underside, but they've been on the board under plastic with a little bit of water for about 2 hours. So They're still pretty malleable. They're not like fresh out of the bag consistency. So I'm hoping it doesn't like do that cracking, micro cracking thing that you get when clay starts to dry on the bottom. But if not, or if it does, we'll clean it up. It's not a big deal. This is not the big deal room, okay? You know what I mean? Like, this is the try it, figure it out. If it doesn't work, fix it. There's almost always a solution. You're almost never stuck with something. Something my mom tells me all the time. She's like, you know, most things in this world are not permanent. Just because you take the fly fishing class doesn't mean you have to like take the fly fishing class, you know? Like, oh, this sounds fun at 3 a.m. and then you sign up for it and you're like, oh, no. Yeah, just don't go. You know, or make it enjoyable. Find a way to enjoy it. I don't know, there's always a solution to your problem. Usually. Usually. Sometimes life just like throws it at you. But yeah, nothing is as permanent, I think, as we think it is. I mean, ceramics is permanent. There are some things that are very permanent choices, but like playing in dirt, not one of them. I mean, can be, once it goes to the kiln. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Let's see how easy that is. And then just, yeah. And this can set up while we're working on the other ones. So this is the one that's already been in the mold. You can see it's like, it's not super leather hard. It will hold its own shape, but you still want to be pretty careful with it. And I'm just gonna take a rib and do my best to clean up the edges and those little plastic marks. But literally, what's nice, support from the inside when you use the rib. But like just doing that has completely cleaned up any lines that were left from the plastic. So now my biggest concern is gonna be the rim. A lot of people, I feel like, don't think about the rim until later. But like, the rim is the part of the pot that lifts closer to you than anything else, right? The rim is like the part of the pot we see first. If it's a cup, it's the part we interact with. So like, just don't ignore it. Like, treat it nicely. It doesn't have to be the world's greatest, most articulated, perfect thing in the world. But treat it with some dignity, some respect, and hope that it does the same to you. Gonna go over that rim, maybe with a little water. I'm not gonna saturate the whole thing. I'm just gonna put the water in my hand with the spray bottle and touch up those edges. I'm not trying to add too much water right now because I don't want it to lose its shape. I don't want it to disintegrate on me. I just want to solve the rim. So that is my little tray. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Bye.